Class, welcome to the real world integers mini lesson. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to talk about integers in the real world. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify and represent integers in real life. This week, we're still learning about integers, and remember, our big ticket items this week are the number line activity, the integer sort, the integer quiz, and the iExcels. Those are what's being graded in Infinite Campus. Everything else you still need to turn in on Google Classroom. So let's start taking some notes. This is going to be really important for when you complete the real world integer activities. So I want you to set up your notebook or your note piece of paper or the scratch paper that you have, anything that you have to write on, just like mine. And I want to point out, you want to have negative, draw a line, and then positive. And then we're also going to leave some room for examples. Make sure you note that too. All right, so now we are going to learn some of the words that talk about integers in real life. And we see integers in our daily lives all the time, whether you realize it or not. We see them in money and in temperature, even in elevation when we're talking about how high somebody might climb or how low water level is. We'll talk about it with time and what time it is or what time somebody's talking about. Even in cooking and baking, we talk about different integers and measurements and how much to put in or take away from something. So let's start talking about our vocabulary. When we're talking about something that's a negative number, remember that's something that's less than 0. We're talking about loss or below sea level, under, debt, when you owe money, like if you owed your parents $12, if you're going to decrease in weight, or you're withdrawing money, or you're descending from a climb, that all those words can be used to talk about negative integers. Let's talk about positive integers. If we gain money, if we're above sea level, or over time, if we go over time, if we have a credit, that means that somebody has given you money back. If we're saving something, an increase in temperature and water level and money and time when we're increasing something. When someone deposits money into your account, that's not taking away. When you're depositing, you're giving money into something, so we're adding to a total. And then ascending, as in going up, so we're getting greater. And these are all words that I want you to write down in your notebook, just like I have here. And so I want you to pause this video and write down each of these words in the column that they go. Don't forget about this line down the middle of how to divide your negative to your positive. Go ahead and pause this video and write down those words. Awesome job with writing down that vocabulary. Now we're going to talk about how we write integers in real life situations. And remember, you want to take very good notes so that you can use this in your activities. So let's look at example number 1, right up here. It says an increase of 6 inches. So you think about, how could we represent that with an integer? Is that going to be positive or is that going to be negative? You can even look back at your notes. That's going to be a positive 6. We're going to increase 6 inches. So we can write it as plus 6, or you can just leave it as a normal old 6. Because remember, if something doesn't have a positive or a negative out front, it's always going to be positive. Let's go to example 2. You owe your parents $15. Uh-oh. What did you do? You owe them $15. You might have broken something. So if we owe someone something, that means we have to take away $15 from what we have. That's going to be a negative 15. We're going to decrease in money. Our third example, a loss of 7 pounds. Loss, that's our word we want to look at. Does loss mean positive or negative? Look at your note sheet. Loss is negative, so it's going to be a negative 7 is our integer. Our fourth example, earned $5 interest. Now this is a lot of money talk, but earned $5 means a gain of $5. That means a positive. So we'll write that positive 5, or just a 5. And our last example, we're talking about temperature. Remember, we see real-world integers when we're talking about temperature. A temperature of 9 degrees below 0. Below, that's our key word. That's going to mean less than 0. So we're going to write that as negative 9. Now I want you to pause this video on the next slide because I want you to write down the examples right here in your notes, just like you see here, because these are going to be super helpful for when you do the real-world integer activities later this week. Great job writing down all those notes, and I hope that you will be able to keep those handy when you're doing the real-world integers practice number 1. And you can click here in the slideshow, or you can click into the Google assignment. You only have to do it once, so you don't need to click it here and the assignment. And always make sure that you turn it into Google Classroom once you're done.